The number one ranked quarterback in the 2027 recruiting class is officially committed to Alabama. Five-star passer Elijah Haven, the consensus top signal caller in his cycle, and a top 5 overall prospect nationally, picked Kalen DeBoer and the Crimson Tide over Georgia, Auburn, Florida, and a list of programs that read like a who's who of college football powerhouses. This is the story of how Alabama landed the most coveted quarterback prospect in the country, what makes Haven so special, and exactly what this commitment means for a program that just got handed the keys to the next generation of Crimson Tide football. Buckle up, because this one is bigger than just another five-star pledge. And the ripple effects of this commitment are going to reshape recruiting battles across the SEC for the next 2 years. Elijah Haven hails from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where he plays his high school football at the Dunham School in Oaks Hills Place. The 6'5", 220-pound quarterback announced his commitment to Alabama on Saturday, April 25th, while hosting a youth camp in his home state. The location alone tells you something about who this kid is. Most top-rated recruits announce their decisions on social media, on national television, with cameras rolling and graphics designed by NIL teams. Haven made his pledge while running drills with kids in Louisiana. And that gesture speaks to the character that has every coach who has recruited him raving about more than just his arm talent. Born and raised in the heart of SEC country, Haven grew up surrounded by college football culture. Baton Rouge is a town where football is a way of life, and the kid who would eventually become the number one quarterback in his class started turning heads at Dunham before most quarterbacks his age had even won a varsity job. He's also a multi-sport athlete who earned Louisiana Class 2A All-State honors as a freshman on the basketball court, claimed district MVP, and defensive MVP honors as a sophomore. And he helped Dunham reach the state semifinals in basketball in back-to-back years. His freshman basketball numbers, 12.7 points, 9.4 rebounds, and 4 assists per game, only add to the picture of an athlete who has barely scratched the surface of his football potential because he's been splitting his focus across two sports at the highest levels. The film tells you everything you need to know about why every blue chip program in the country wanted Elijah Haven. At 6'5" and 220 pounds, he checks every physical box you can put on a quarterback. 247 Sports Director of Scouting Andrew Ivins called him a supersized quarterback who's going to have a chance to be the face of a franchise with these tools. And Ivins compared him to longtime NFL passer Jacoby Brissett. The arm talent is elite, the size is legitimate, and Haven can distribute from the pocket or on the move with equal effectiveness. What separates Haven from other big-bodied quarterbacks, though, is what he does with his legs. As a junior in 2025, he carried the ball 127 times for 794 yards and 11 touchdowns. That kind of dual threat profile in a 6'5" frame is something college coaches dream about because it gives offensive coordinators a level of flexibility most pocket passers cannot offer. Watch the tape and you'll see a quarterback who throws with anticipation, who manipulates safeties with his eyes, and who has the kind of poise in the pocket that you typically only see from third-year college starters. He delivers the ball with a clean, compact release. He reads coverages at a level that scouts say is years ahead of his peers, and he extends plays without panicking when the pocket breaks down. The combination of size, arm, accuracy, and athleticism makes Haven the rarest kind of quarterback prospect, the kind that comes through the recruiting pipeline maybe once every 3 or 4 cycles. The numbers behind Haven's high school career are the kind that get stat geeks excited and rival coaches nervous. As a junior in 2025, he completed 240 of 332 passes for 3,931 yards at a 72.3 completion clip. Sit with that completion percentage for a second, because that number is absurd for a high school quarterback throwing the ball 30 plus times a game. He set Louisiana State records that season with 62 passing touchdowns and 73 total touchdowns. He led Dunham to a 13-1 record and the program's first state championship since 2004. That performance earned him both the Gatorade Player of the Year award and the Max Preps Player of the Year award for the state of Louisiana. The year before, as a sophomore, he threw for 3,093 yards with 37 touchdowns and 7 interceptions and added another 948 yards and 21 touchdowns on the ground. He was named Max Preps National Sophomore of the Year for 2024. Even as a freshman, before he had fully grown into a 6'5" frame, Haven posted an 8-3 record as a starter, threw 35 touchdowns to just 3 picks, and won a District 6 2A championship. 3 years as a varsity starter, a 35-5 overall record, a statistical production that puts him among the most decorated high school quarterbacks the state of Louisiana has ever seen. The accolades alongside the numbers paint a picture of a kid who's been playing meaningful football longer than most of his peers and has dominated at every stage of his development. The pressure of being the number one quarterback in the country has not slowed him down at any point in his high school career. And that mental toughness is something coaches mention almost as often as the physical gifts. The recruitment that landed Elijah Haven at Alabama is one of the most fascinating stories of the entire 2027 cycle. Alabama first offered Haven in June of 2025, but this was a process that stretched almost over a full year. Haven took 5 total visits to Tuscaloosa, all of them unofficial, with his most recent trip coming up on January 31st, 2026. He attended Alabama's spring game earlier this month, and that visit happened just days after he had taken an unofficial trip to Georgia in early April. For a long stretch, the recruitment looked like a true two-horse race between Kalen DeBoer's Alabama and Kirby Smart's Georgia. Both programs poured resources into landing the top quarterback in the country, and both staffs built the kind of relationships with Haven and his family that you would expect from an SEC battle of this magnitude. Auburn, Florida, and Kentucky also pushed hard for Haven, with the Tigers seeing him as the centerpiece of their post-coaching change rebuild and the Gators viewing him as the kind of program-altering signal caller they haven't landed in years. The final decision came down to Alabama and Georgia, though, and what tipped the scales for the Crimson Tide came down to relationships and scheme fit, two things that have defined how Kalen DeBoer recruits at the quarterback position. The Bulldogs offered Haven a chance to play in one of the most consistently dominant programs of the past decade, and Kirby Smart pitched him on the same development pipeline that has produced Stetson Bennett, Carson Beck, and Gunnar Stockton. The pitch was strong enough that this race went all the way to the final weeks. Alabama just had a bit more. Haven told ESPN that the bond he built with DeBoer, offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb, and quarterbacks coach Brian Ellis was central to his decision. Ellis joined the staff in January when previous quarterback Nick Sheridan left to take the offensive coordinator job at Michigan State. And that staff move could end up being one of the most important coaching hires of DeBoer's tenure at Alabama. Haven talked specifically about familiarity and about putting himself in the best position for the future. He pointed to Alabama's pro-style offense and how he sees himself fitting into that system. He talked about how he believes Alabama develops quarterbacks better than anyone, and that development piece is what every elite quarterback prospect is searching for in modern recruiting landscape. Dunham head coach Neil Weiner gave maybe the most telling quote about Haven's ceiling, telling CBS Sports that there are a lot of great quarterbacks out there who have dedicated all their waking moments to the position. And even with that competition, Haven has bigger and better things ahead of him because he has not even maxed out yet. He plays multiple sports, he averages double-digit points in nearly 10 rebounds on the basketball court, and competes in the Nike EYBL circuit alongside the same organization that produced NFL receiver Keon Coleman. The room for growth that Weiner is talking about is exactly what makes a coach reach for the largest contract in history of the quarterback room. The implication is clear. Whatever Haven looks like at his current level, what he becomes when he focuses exclusively on football at the college level could be something the sport has rarely seen. What this commitment means for Alabama goes well beyond just adding another talented quarterback to the roster. Kalen DeBoer is now in his 3rd year in Tuscaloosa, and the way he's recruiting the quarterback position tells you exactly how he plans to win at Alabama for the long haul. Haven becomes the highest ranked quarterback DeBoer has signed in his time at Alabama, joining a quarterback room that already includes redshirt junior Austin Mack and former 5-star Keelan Russell, who split first-team reps throughout this year's spring practice in a competition that has yet to be settled. The Crimson Tide signed 2 quarterbacks in the 2026 cycle as well, with 4-star pocket passer Jet Tamala and 3-star Tayden Evan Kawa joining the program this fall. With Haven now committed alongside in-state 4-star Trent Seaborn, who has been pledged to Alabama since October of 2025, DeBoer will have stockpiled 5 high school quarterback signees in 3 recruiting cycles. That's a recruiting strategy built on creating quarterback depth, generating internal competition, and never being caught short at the most important position on the field. The pipeline DeBoer is building is reminiscent of the Nick Saban era, where Alabama always seemed to have the next great quarterback waiting in the wings, whether the starter played one season or four. Haven becomes the headliner of the 2027 class for the Crimson Tide, which now ranks 34th nationally according to 247 Sports, despite holding only 5 total commitments. That ranking jumps significantly once Alabama's official visit season ramps up in late May, and Haven's commitment is exactly the kind of foundational piece that other elite recruits look at when deciding where to pledge. The domino effect of landing the #1 quarterback in the country in late April typically results in a wave of commitments through the summer months as other top players see momentum building. The bigger picture story here is what Elijah Haven's commitment tells us about the state of college football recruiting in 2026. The #1 quarterback in the country picked an SEC school over an SEC school. Haven didn't flirt with the Big Ten the same way some elite quarterback prospects. Haven didn't flirt with the Big Ten the way some elite quarterback prospects have started to in this NIL era. He never seriously considered programs outside the South. He grew up in Louisiana, played his high school football 20 miles from LSU's campus, and the Tigers were never even truly in his final group despite being the home state program. The SEC remains the dominant conference for elite quarterback talent, and Alabama just reasserted itself as the top destination for blue chip passers despite the Crimson Tide losing Nick Saban 2 years ago. Kalen DeBoer is proving that he can still recruit at the level Alabama fans expect, and the fact that he beat out Kirby Smart head to head for the top quarterback in this country is the kind of recruiting that reverberates through every other position group. With 4-star quarterbacks Colton Nusemeyer, Peter Bork, and Wonder Mons, the fourth still uncommitted in the 2027 cycle, Alabama just locked in the prize of the entire group well before official visit season even begins. The story of the 2027 quarterback class is now officially set, and the next chapter begins when Elijah Haven steps onto the field in Tuscaloosa for his first college snap. This is Odell with Blitz All Media, where I always highlight the best college football recruits in America. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a comment, like, and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.